What if I told you that worry is an illusion? A lie your mind tells you on repeat? Mind is everything. What you think you become, said the Buddha. But what if the very thoughts you're entertaining are silently destroying your peace, stealing your sleep, and hijacking your joy? If you've ever found yourself lying awake, replaying conversations, or fearing things that haven't even happened, you are not alone. The truth is, most of us live in fear of a future that doesn't exist. So, let me ask you, what if you could break free from that cycle right now? This article will unveil a life-altering Buddhist truth that's been hidden in plain sight. This isn't just philosophy, it's a practice you can try today. One that has the power to shift everything. You are about to discover the real root of worry and, more importantly, how to end it. 1. Be happy now. Happiness is the path, not the destination. Buddhism teaches, there is no path to happiness. Happiness is the path. These words seem simple, but for most of us, they feel like a riddle because we've been trained to chase happiness, not to notice it. We believe happiness lies in the future, in a job promotion, a perfect relationship, or the next big achievement. So we run faster, work harder, and convince ourselves that once everything is in order, then we'll finally relax, smile, and be happy. But that day never quite arrives. Imagine this. Your life is a room filled with sunlight, but the curtains are closed. Worry is the curtain, and every time you think, I'll feel better when, you're just tugging them tighter. Buddhism doesn't say, don't care. It says, be awake. Be awake to the illusion that joy is a reward waiting at the finish line. It's not. It's already here, but you must stop postponing it. Ask yourself, what are you postponing joy for? What if this imperfect, unfinished, unpredictable moment was enough? Buddhist wisdom cuts through the fog with one clear insight. Attachment is the root of suffering. And the most overlooked attachment is to how life should be. We suffer because we argue with what is. So, instead of fighting, practice this. Allow joy to coexist with imperfection. 2. What is worry? A mental illusion. All that we are is the result of what we have thought. This teaching reveals that worry isn't reality speaking. It's a shadow puppet dancing on the wall of your mind. Its shape is only convincing when light is placed behind it. Every day, you spin stories about tomorrow. You anticipate emails that haven't arrived, conversations that haven't happened, and failures that exist only in your imagination. Buddhism teaches that worry is nothing more than mental storytelling, an attachment to an imagined future that steals the joy of now. In ancient monasteries, monks learned to watch these thoughts pass like clouds drifting across a silent sky. A cloud doesn't demand a reaction when it fades, it just moves. What if you treated worry the same way? Modern life amplifies worry with endless notifications and a culture that praises anxious planning. You believe that if you predict the storm, you can avoid getting wet. But Buddhism reminds us that attachment to prediction is attachment to suffering. When you drop the need to control every moment, you discover clarity and uncertainty. 3. The mind's trap. How we create suffering with thoughts. The root of suffering is attachment. These words are a mirror, a direct reflection of how we repeatedly trap ourselves inside our own minds. Not with chains, but with thoughts that say, this shouldn't be happening. I'm not where I'm supposed to be. I can't be happy until this is fixed. Your mind is a cage, but it's not made of steel. It's built from invisible assumptions, stories, and labels. You experience something neutral, a delay, a breakup, and your mind instantly labels it bad. And from that label, suffering begins, not from the event itself, but from the meaning we attach to it. Buddhism teaches that the mind is a storyteller. It crafts entire realities out of preference and resistance. But if you look closely, you'll see something powerful. The story can only hurt you if you believe it. A woman once told the Buddha, "My life is full of suffering." He asked her, "What are you clinging to?" She cried when she realized it wasn't the world causing her pain. It was her grip on how the world should be. Every moment you spend resisting what is, you tighten the bars of the cage. But every time you pause, breathe, and observe your thoughts without judgment, you loosen those bars. You remember that you are not your mind. You are the awareness behind it. And awareness is freedom. 4. Living in the present. The real antidote to anxiety. Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. This teaching slices through the heart of anxiety like a blade through fog. Because here's the truth. Worry cannot survive in the now. It only exists in a future that hasn't happened or a past that can't be changed. But peace lives in presence. Right now, notice your breath, not the story of your breath, but the feeling of it, the rise and fall, the inhale and exhale. This is your anchor. This is the moment that frees you. When your mind drifts, come back to your senses. Feel your feet on the ground, the sounds around you, the texture of your clothing. These are the tools that bring you home. You're not broken for worrying. You're just lost in a place that doesn't exist. There's a story of a Zen master who was asked, "How do you stay so calm in chaos?" He smiled and said, "When I'm eating, I eat. When I'm walking, I walk. When I'm sitting, I sit." The student replied, "But don't we all do that?" The master answered, "No. When you're eating, your mind is already at work. When you're walking, your mind is rushing home. When you're sitting, your mind is worrying about what's next. That's the difference." 5. Trusting life. The art of letting go. Let go or be dragged. These 5 words hold more power than most of us are ready to face. Because the truth is, letting go feels like death to the ego. But Buddhism reveals something deeper. Letting go isn't giving up. It's waking up. Waking up from the illusion that you're in control of everything. That you can predict, prevent, and perfect every outcome in your life. That kind of pressure doesn't just steal your peace, it drains your soul. Trying to control life is like clenching water. The tighter you grip, the faster it slips through your fingers. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you start trusting. You trust that life unfolds not always the way you want, but often exactly the way you need. There's a story of a man hanging from a cliff, gripping a branch for dear life. A voice calls out, "Let go." He looks down, terrified, and stays frozen in fear. Hours later, exhausted, he slips and lands on a ledge just a few feet below. Sometimes the ground you fear doesn't exist. The only thing between you and peace is the clinging itself. 6. Accept what is. Resistance is the true enemy. Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. When life doesn't go your way, peace can feel like a distant fantasy. In those moments, the mind goes to war. It tightens, argues, rejects. It says, "This shouldn't be happening." But here's the deeper truth. Resistance is the real enemy, not the moment itself. Acceptance doesn't mean you approve. It means you stop pretending it didn't happen. It means you face the truth without turning it into your enemy. Because emotional suffering isn't caused by the event. It's caused by the story we tell ourselves about it. There's a story of a monk who was struck during a robbery. As he bled, someone asked, "Aren't you angry?" The monk replied, "There is pain. Why add hatred to it?" That's the power of acceptance. You acknowledge the wound without feeding it more pain. When you accept, you conserve your energy. You turn inward, where peace lives, not outward, where control is an illusion. 7. Stop fixing yourself. You're not broken. You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. But how often do you actually give that to yourself? Buddhism teaches that the path to peace doesn't begin with fixing what's broken. It begins with realizing you were never broken to begin with. You're not a problem to solve. You're a garden to nurture. For many of us, self-growth feels like a never-ending repair job. We treat our flaws like errors, our sadness like failure. We chase goals not for joy, but to finally feel acceptable. This is subtle but dangerous. Because self-improvement without self-acceptance isn't growth, it's rejection in disguise. There's a story of a cracked clay pot used to carry water. One side always leaked, and the pot felt ashamed. One day it apologized to the gardener, who smiled and said, "Haven't you noticed the flowers blooming only on your side of the path? Your so-called flaws, your cracks, may be the exact places where your wisdom, empathy, and beauty pour out." 8. Thoughts are not facts. Be the watcher, not the worrier. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness behind them. But most of us live like prisoners to our minds, tied to every thought as if it were the ultimate truth. Buddhism offers a powerful shift. You don't have to believe everything you think. Your mind is like a radio station. It plays stories, predictions, and memories, but you're not the radio. You're the one who's listening. Imagine a storm passing through the sky. Thunder crashes, rain pours, but above it all, the sky remains untouched. That's your awareness. The storm is your thoughts. When we forget this, we get swept up in the drama. But what if you could just watch? Let the thought pass like a cloud drifting across your mental sky. So many of our worries come not from life itself, but from the stories we attach to life. A delay becomes a disaster. A silence becomes rejection. A mistake becomes proof that we're unworthy. But none of this is real. It's interpretation, not fact. 9. Practice radical self-compassion. You are human. You are not unworthy because you worry. You are human. Somewhere along the path of growing up, you were taught that perfection was the price of peace. But Buddhism reminds us, when you accept yourself, the whole world changes, not when you fix yourself, but when you meet yourself with kindness, especially in the places that feel most unlovable. Imagine standing in front of a cracked mirror. The cracks don't erase the reflection. The light still shines through. That's you. Worry, fear, regret, they're not signs you're broken. They're signs you're alive. And what if the real suffering isn't the worry itself, but the way you treat yourself for having it? When a child is afraid, we don't yell at them to be brave. We hold them. We speak gently. Your worry is like that child. And you are the parent. What if, instead of judging the fear, you listened to it, sat beside it, and gave it space without trying to fix it right away? 10. Replace worry with purposeful action. Worry can feel like a rocking chair, busy and restless, but ultimately moving you nowhere. Your mind races through worst-case scenarios, looping through what-ifs until exhaustion takes over. Yet, nothing changes. Buddhism offers a gentle but powerful reminder. Do not act out of worry. Act from clarity. There is a difference between frantic motion and mindful movement. One keeps you stuck, the other frees you. What if you paused the endless mental chatter and chose one concrete action? Something simple, something doable. This step breaks the cycle of overthinking and replaces it with something real. Action grounded in clarity feels different. It grounds you in the present moment. It reminds you that you have agency even when the future feels uncertain. It shows that the power to change your life is not in predicting what will happen, but in choosing what to do now. 11. You don't have to react to everything. Emotions surge like sudden storms across the vast sky of your mind. But you are not the storm. You are the sky itself. The metaphor from Buddhism reminds us that feelings, no matter how intense, are like clouds drifting across an ever-present expanse. They come and go, but they do not define the sky's vastness or calm. This is a profound key to ending worry. You don't have to react to everything that stirs within you. Buddhism teaches that between the stimulus and your response lies a precious space. That space is your power. When you breathe deeply, pause, and simply observe the feeling without judgment, you can choose how to respond rather than reacting on autopilot. What happens when you resist that first urge to react? Often the intensity lessens, the mind quiets, and clarity emerges. You don't get pulled into the storm. You watch it move across your internal sky. 12. Choose what matters, not what feels comfortable. Imagine walking through a thick fog where the path ahead is invisible. In that haze, your values become the compass guiding you forward, steady and true. This is the essence of what Buddhism teaches about choosing what matters, not just what feels comfortable. Many of us are trapped in a cycle of seeking comfort, chasing fleeting moments of ease to silence the noise inside. But what if the pursuit of comfort is what's actually feeding your anxiety? Buddhism reminds us that happiness is not found in comfort alone, but emerges when discipline meets purpose. A disciplined mind brings happiness. Discipline here is a conscious choice to steer your life according to the values that matter most. When your actions align with that answer, worry loses its grip. You move forward with clarity. Even if the path isn't fully visible yet, you don't have to let fear or uncertainty decide your direction. Instead, let your values be the compass pointing you toward purpose, growth, and ultimately, peace.